Hi, my name is Xuân Pham, and I am an emerging artist with Strata Gallery. My solo exhibition is titled Between. I am an interdisciplinary artist whose works explores the theme of hybridity, vulnerability, and empathy through object making and storytelling. I was born in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and immigrated to Omaha, Nebraska when I was 7 years old. This experience greatly influenced my ongoing research around racialized melancholia. My work centers on the relationship between trauma, migration, and race, and investigates how the political and psychological impact of trauma and grief transpires within the Asian American communities and how it informs the formation of subjectivity and racial identity within the United States. Working between drawing, sculpture, and installation, I pursue these questions through materials that bear on cultural and political histories of European imperialism. A large part of my practice is ephemeral, and working metaphorically through the concept of layers is central to my practice, which then allows for multiple forms such as metaphors, storytelling, personal narrative, and participation from the viewer to explore nuances of racial grief. The participatory and interactive element is foundational to my work as it highlights the importance of understanding lived experience of marginalized bodies in order to build empathy and compassion for each other's stories. And it also shifts the focus onto the audience, asking about their own autonomy, agency, and role in these social and political issues. The three body of works that are in the exhibition at Strata Gallery are the Talisman Suit series and Ghost drawings, screens and block breeze, Gat Bong, which translates to flower tiles. Um, However, I will be focusing most on the Talisman Suit series for this talk. These three bodies of work may look formally unrelated. However, they are deeply rooted with trade and colonialism. By using intersectionality as a metaphor for multiple forms to coexist, presents a more holistic approach to the intersections of world history, objects, and lived experience. And these intersections allows for transparency, opaqueness, and storytelling to be tactile and visible, and to connect the experience of hybrid familiar language back to the body, which is the sort of arching theme of the exhibitions between these three bodies of work. The Talisman Suit series started in 2017. During this time, I was growing very weary of my own safety, my physical safety, and my psychological safety as Trump was in office. I kept wanting to protect the body or to cloak the body, and I kept having questions around safety, such as who gets to be protected and what does protection look like, especially for the marginalized communities. As I kept exploring the ideas of protection and moving away from the physical aspect of it and into a spiritual and psychological form of protection, I began to think about talismans, which exist in many cultures and religions. In particular, how these talismans and amulets came into power and how they were used and how they were functioned. As I was exploring the interplay between both private and public, the visible and invisible, and the various forms of spiritual and psychological protection, I started to design these objects, which at first they appear to be clothing. However, the sheer transparent fabric neither hides nor protects the body. Rather, the unguarded suits function as an amulet, a promise, or a prayer. These forms of talismans are influenced from historical ritual practices of Vietnam. As I begin to make more of these suits, I had thoughts of instilling them with positive intentions, which transcends the sort of physical protection. And I wanted to create a spiritual veil of a security, almost acting as a second skin for those who would then wear it. So, this body of work explores the intersections between the idea of faith, hope, and superstition. I was asking myself if I design these with well wishes and if others would then add their own well wishes into the semi-functional pocket vest in this particular suit, then for the person who is then going to wear this garment, would they then also be wearing the collective well wishes, a sort of an amulet at that point? The talisman functions in of course, a conceptual hybrid space of protection, and it also simultaneously revealed the vulnerabilities that I'm trying to conceal due to the sheer organza fabric. So it both highlights the sort of fear and it also then um, draws attention to it. Sometimes the talismans are hung in this manner, and sometimes they are also displayed on a screen, a clothing screen. As I was tracing talismans forms through my Vietnamese culture and influences of Catholicism via colonialism, I was taken by the Catholic scapula wearables as an object, as a sign of devotion and piety, and a symbol of prayer. The word scapula is from the Latin word scapula, meaning the shoulder blade. It's a garment first designed by monks during the Middle Ages as a protective apron covering a protective apron covering to be worn over their clothing when they're doing manual labor. And eventually, this apron got smaller and became a sort of a symbol for Marian devotions for Catholics. And growing up, I would see a lot of these sort of talisman or amulets within my own upbringing. And this particular piece I borrowed directly from the Christian or the Catholic scapular, as seen previously. I borrowed it in shape and I multiply the form to then cover my entire body. And I was interested in its functionality both as a body covering, a spiritual prayer, and especially the power of multiples of getting sort of these protective elements and just taking that and multiplying it. How many can I adorn my body? How many protections can I wear? Displayed with these garments are life-size ghost drawings that serves as recordings of how I envisioned the suits to be performed and to be functioned in. And so around the gallery space, you will see there are a one-to-one ratio scale of my form in the drawings themselves. And I invite you to look at them and participate in running your hands down the um, the tracing paper to see what's underneath. And so what that means is that I invite the viewer to press down on the drawings gently. And what happens is you'll see my body starts to emerge and appear, and the image lasts about approximately no more than 10 seconds And so it's talking about the both visible and invisible aspect of um, the body and also the sort of spiritual realm of these talismans. And I here have a little bit of a video just to show you what that looks like. Thank you so much. And I hope that you all enjoy the show. And I want to give a great thanks to Strata Gallery. And thank you so much for listening. Take care.